Mim.
Hi. Hello.
Oh, hey guys, listening. Oh my God, that's so awkward.
One day in a faraway
One
land,
day I won't sound like, I don't know, a sheep introducing a podcast.
Yeah, we will establish a proper intro to this thing.
Yeah. Welcome back to Style Over Substance. Apologies, there was no episode last week. As you can probably still hear, I lost my voice last week, guys, and it's coming back. But for now, I have this sort of raspy undertone, which probably sounds no different, I'm sure. But yeah, how are you, Mim?
I'm all right. You know what? This weekend I've been pretty knackered. I feel like I've just been here, there, and everywhere for like the end of the second half of this week. Yeah. But other than that, I'm okay. I'm surviving. What about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely tired. I had a busy weekend. I left my house yesterday at 8 a.m.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get back till 1.
Yeah.
Or a bit before, but yeah. So I felt like I had a long day, but hey, can't complain. At one point we couldn't leave our house. So
that is true.
We have to ride this wave of life. Are we going to do fashion stories before we introduce our guests? Okay,
yeah,
cool. I'm going to go first because I've already told you my fashion story when I saw you yesterday. So I was following someone on Instagram and looking through their stories, and they basically brought to her followers and my attention that Pretty Little Thing have just released a ski kind of resorty collection ready for the slopes. And in the fine print on the website, it says it's not suitable for performance. And so literally the pictures are, I think they're of Molly May. It's not one of her collections, but because she basically owns Pretty Little Thing now.
Yeah, it's true.
And she's I guess trying to sell it. And I think it's a new thing for Pretty Little Thing. But yeah, it's not suitable for the slopes. So if someone was buying that to wear to ski or snowboard, the way they describe it is it's an après ski sort of garment or whatever. Yeah. And so then this in the comments section as well, I think on the website, there's people commenting saying this is not suitable for skiing, la la la. And that they're really disappointed that they learnt this fact
after they bought it.
Yeah. Or that they've been notified by the customer team if they've asked a question, because Pretty Little Thing have now actually removed from their website that it's not performance suitable after this girl posted about it.
You mean they added that little tidbit?
No, they took it away.
So hold on. They've made a collection which can't wear in the actual snow.
And they had a little thing. It's often how they have with swimwear where it can't get wet. But it was après ski wear, not performance suitable.
Yeah.
And so then I think because it's been brought to their attention, this girl's got quite a few followers. I'm sure other people will talk about it. They've actually removed that line off of their website, which is almost worse.
Yeah, they're trying to detract from the drama
but now you're
but now it's misleading.
Allowing people to buy something
it's
thinking they can wear it. Yeah. Disgraceful.
Wow. The thing is, I don't know who in their right mind is going to Pretty Little Thing for ski clothes.
Please, I know skiing is an expensive activity, but don't go unless you can afford it. Yeah. Get yourself some proper performance clothing.
Yeah.
You do not need more than one ski outfit,
No, you don't.
We are not billionaires on this planet. You can get yourself one jacket and trousers or whatever, a little all-in-one.
That's it. You wear it for the whole week.
And that's it. You've got some underlayers. Change your thermals every day. You do not need a catwalk. Have your après ski moment, whatever. But you don't need various outfits to ski in.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes me think of Chanel because they do their little ski collections, don't they? And that's kind of a thing. That is when you are rich.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can actually wear the Chanel pieces out and ski in them.
I would like to hope so, but
that's
who knows
the thing.
In this day and age.
I would expect that you can wear them on the slopes, because those people who are buying, I don't even know, are the people buying Chanel ski clothing real
actually skiing
skiers or just flexing? I don't know.
Yeah, like, are they just wearing that around like the streets?
And it's really it really is disheartening, because obviously Pretty Little Thing, we shit on them all the time, really egregious fast fashion. But even for a very expensive activity such as skiing, and you're on holiday and it's really, you're just buying stuff to protect yourself whilst doing this activity, it's seen as an opportunity for you to buy more clothes than you can actually wear on the actual slopes. It's a waste. It's a waste because you can't use it for what it's intended to.
And also, like you said, like, it's meant to protect you, right? It's considered an extreme sport.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And like, that's no joke. Like, that would, I don't even know what the equivalent is of like that. Be like Pretty Little Thing trying to like make brake pads for a car, or like you can't skimp like on the things that's like, you know, save you or protect you from the elements. I'm
looking at this.
If I'm honest.
I'm looking at some of the pieces. Okay, the jumpers, they're cute. I'm not mad about those. The full body suits, though, or the high waist, I think the trousers themselves are about £120.
And you still can't wear them skiing.
I don't get it. Someone please help me understand this, because because really and truly, most of Pretty Little Thing, I would dare to say, don't ski.
No.
It's really, if you go on ski holidays, you've got a bit of money, really and truly. We're not talking about flying to Dubai.
No. So this week we have some really exciting guests. There's been a labour of love to get them on. Me losing my voice did not help. Sorry about that, Mim. But yeah, we have Hood London. So we have Gabby and Adele from Hood London joining us today. And they have an incredible millinery brand that has such an amazing array of hats and headpieces, whether it's a bonnet, a headscarf, like a sort of, I'm reluctant to call it a fascinator, but sort of a mesh sort of headpiece.
I think she called it a veil.
A veil, there you go. And then you've got your classic wool hats, straw hats, and just everything in between. And they've recently done a collaboration with Dita Von Teese and kind of channeled her quintessential vintage fashion, which has some really exciting pieces. And they were really exciting to talk to. And I'm for sure going to be researching millinery in my spare time these days.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Adele and Gabby, such funny, entertaining, insightful, curious women. Big thank you for them for really joining us and just chatting. So we talk about hats, of course, accessories, running a business, managing one, and just reigniting through their brand, reigniting their passion for millinery, you know. We hope that you like this episode. Let us know your thoughts and enjoy. Bye.
Okay, great. Like Mim said, we're really excited to have you guys on the podcast. And I think, it'd be great to start with sort of how you guys met and how you kind of created this amazing business.
We met working, I can't remember how many years ago it was now. 13 years ago. Wow. At Stephen Jones, in the basement, sewing and making. And it was a little while before we became friends. And it was a little while after that we decided we wanted to do something different. Adele by that point had left and I was still there, I think 2 days a week. And we set up, actually when we first set up Hood, it was set up as a collective because we did want to change something bigger than just what we were doing. We wanted to change how we saw hat making and millinery. And we set up as a collective. And after a couple of years running that and making nothing and working and kind of trying to manage something that we couldn't manage, we closed it and we refigured as a label in 2019. And it made life a lot easier because when you're working with just us, we kind of knew what we were doing. We knew how each other worked. We knew what we wanted to do, and we could just follow that path.
So essentially, were you like colleagues before, or were you working for another company and just like you would do 2 days a week and Adele like different?
We were both working for Stephen Jones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We were in different departments, but we were both in his basement atelier, and she was in Miss Jones and I was in Couture, and I'd always try to steal her over, but you refused to come over. Gabby says it took a while for us to be friends, but as soon as I met her, I was like, you are going to be my friend. She was always making everyone laugh in the workroom. She's hilarious and just really delightful, and yeah, it's so funny. And I spent a good part of 2 years, I think, chasing after you, being, saying, be my friend, coming out with me.
Adele was really glamorous. She was just always turned out beautifully. So instinctively, I couldn't immediately like her. So I had to work through that.
I love that. And so did you notice quite quickly that you both shared like the same interest on what you guys wanted to set out and do with Hood?
I think so. It started off, I left Stephen Jones in 2013, and I took about a 2-year hiatus because I needed a break from hats. He like broke me for a few years. I couldn't.
That's fashion.
I was like, this is it. It's over. I thought I loved hats. We'll see. But I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And about 2 years later, I'd had my 1-year-old. My child had been 1 at the time, and Gabby was just working part-time, and I know you weren't very happy there either, but we both love hats, and we're like, well, let's try to make hats something. Let's take what we love in hats and try to make it into something. It's not occasion wear. We don't love wedding hats. We despise the races. But let's take the bits that we love, like the evening, the cocktail, and try to make something of it. There must be other people out there that want to wear hats every day and not look foolish.
Because that's the thing, like Hood has a really strong aesthetic, I think, as well. And when thinking of like questions we wanted to ask you, my interest was definitely like in 2021, where we're not the most dressed up people, everyone's kind of doing a casual look. Do you like, what's the clientele who are really interested in wearing like quite vintage inspired hats and like wanting to dress up? What is it like making hats for people now,
Yeah, we have different sections of clientele. Since we started doing our collaboration with Dita Von Teese, we've sort of garnered the vintage clientele, which want a different type of hat. They want a hat to wear like burlesque or out in the evening. But our clientele, Hoods, personal, I think they're more just, we are more casual hat wearing. Like you can wear something to keep you warm on a cold day that still looks really glamorous. You can pick something up to wear out in the evening, like one of our metal headbands that it's just a little touch, but will make everyone in the room talk to you. So there's a fine line between getting attention and feeling and looking glamorous, and also keeping warm or keeping your hair dry or the sun out of your eyes and looking foolish. And
it was a lot of dressing up.
Yeah. Amazing. we're very aware, like we wear all of our hats. If it's something that we would feel ridiculous going out in, we won't make the collection.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, all milliners cannot claim that.
Also, the thing is with I think there's when you're younger and you're not that confident, you dress up and you experiment, but you're not that confident. And then as time goes on, I feel like now I know what I want to wear, but I also kind of want to be able to be lazy about it. And like there's a headscarf in the collection which has got kind of built-in earrings, and honestly you really don't have to do much to your face. You don't have to put earrings on, you can just put this on, and I feel like I'm here, here, and it's a nice feeling to wear a hat that you feel confident in, and you're not like, is it going to fall off? Am I going to hurt someone's eye? That isn't what hats should be about.
It's minimal effort, maximum look, really.
I like it.
And so when you did the collaboration with Dita, was that quite a different sort of like design headspace for you guys to go in? Because they are like a bit more, like you said, on the glamorous sort of like burlesque side of things. Was that quite a different like approach for you guys?
Absolutely. It's fun. We get to play a bit more with the styles, and Dita and I have a very similar. I got into hats because I love the 1940s and all the glamour, the films, and that time when you couldn't leave the house without a hat. It would have been inappropriate. So it was fun to go back into that with her and go, look at her collections and, pick out pieces that we wouldn't necessarily choose for Hood, but now we get to do them, like the powder puff or,
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of not putting a stop button on glamour. It's just like going full for it, and that's really exciting. Especially when we probably like hold ourselves back at other times, going, well, hang on a minute, where would you?
Yeah, and she's great too, because you wouldn't think it, but she doesn't go too wild. There's always she always sets a line and doesn't really cross it with her glamour. Like she'll tell me to make the bows smaller on things and more, elegant and delicate. So, we're not going crazy, but we do get to go, more fun.
Yeah.
More campy than we would normally.
Yeah. And as a label that's based in the UK, and you touched on that you absolutely hate the races, which is like a staple in UK culture. I think that's the only time when people, not the only time, but it's one of the few occasions that people in the UK are like looking for a hat. What is it about like ascot and regattas and things like that just, I can see you shaking your head out of just like dismay.
There's so much about it I don't like. It's the aristocracy, it's the privilege, it's the echelons, it's the society. Whole thing of it, I think, is kind of outdated. And the problem is the hats that are there are outdated. Something's happened. That like 1980s, it's raining strong. And when we set up Hood, this was always my thing. You would see young people with fab shoes, they have red soles, we know, they have a great bag, they have a great dress, and they have got Auntie Sue's hat on their head, and that's okay.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make sense. And I think it's just something we've always wanted to distance ourselves from, because it's out of date. I mean, for the horses, for the humans, it's out of date. It's I don't know why it's still such a strong thing, but look at our government. We have some really weird, strong things going on. They just don't let go. That's why they don't let go. And we don't even really comment on ascot. We don't, I think Channel 4 have contacted us about kind of lending hats for, presenting them. We just know it's not where we want to be seen. It's not how we see the future of hat making at all.
Yeah, and you're saying that actually, I wonder if like people just aren't maybe that well educated or informed on sort of like hats, because I think we know that Louboutins are nice shoes, like all of that stuff, and I think maybe people don't realize, and because it might be like one of the few occasions other than like maybe weddings and stuff that people would go for a hat, they just kind of don't know where to
look for
or what to look for, or like that's quite interesting.
And you see that people aren't confident wearing these things on their heads quite often.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be they like trust your gut. You don't, you're not confident for a good reason.
If you were to advise someone on like buying hats that suit them, what's like the go-to things that you think about when you're designing a hat for people, and what you consider to be a good looking hat, something that flatters someone?
Wow, everyone's different. Every head is different. We'll have hats in the collection that look really good on me and just do not suit Gabby, and vice versa.
There's many more of them.
But there's a few that one of our really beautiful big felt hats, I can't wear it to save my life, and I wouldn't, but it's gorgeous on Gabby. And you have to, I was saying you'd have to try on a lot of different hats, but unfortunately we're a web shop, which is a big struggle. We try to take as many photos as we can of people in the hats, and it's just to know what is going to suit you, really. And if you do have an opportunity to try on lots of different hats, to do that and see if a wide brim or a tall crown or,
I don't like, you can go back into a lot of kind of etiquette and what to wear books and all, and people will give you lots of instructions, because of your wide face or your big nose or your little lips, you should wear nonsense. It's a bit like people tell you what colors you should wear. I don't really go for it. You should feel happy in it. You should want to wear it, but you should also feel like as a hat, it's not going to damage anything around you. Ascot seems to be about much or up. It's not going to make you taller. It's not going to make you slimmer. There's like only so much it can do. But if you feel good in a hat, people just want to talk to you. You can't. It's like wearing a little like Post-it note saying, "I'm confident. I'm fine with this," and that's a nice thing. In that, and also, I do think the other thing, and we really are constantly trying to bend towards making sure what we're making is sustainable, and what we're making is with fabrics and being careful about things that will last, things you will keep, things that are not, that can be, brought out and reworn. And I think if you're buying anything right now, we just can't be in a position where you're buying something for a event, and that's okay. It's got to be better than that now.
I would say that if you're hat curious and you're not sure, the best place to start, I would suggest, is with a veil. The veils on a headband, it's not going to change, and it's not, it's nothing big. It just goes in a little headband. It goes, just lightly covers your face, and it's like having an Instagram filter on all day long. It kind of gives you that little bit when I don't have time to do my makeup perfect, or I'm rushing out and I'm just not feeling confident about, or if I have a spot on my face, I throw a veil on, and it's like this little guy. It's amazing. So that's why I'd always recommend people to start if they're hat curious and they're not sure where to go.
And on that, where do you see like millinery and hat wearing in general for like the next let's say 5 years? Because Scarlett and I, we've discussed a lot about more like handcrafted fashion, or like couture and bespoke type of fashion, and what's its relevance today, and just kind of had that general discussion for you in hat making, which is, for a lot of people, don't particularly wear that many different types of hats. It can be seen as quite a niche or bespoke kind of fashion item. Where do you see that going?
The thing is, where do I it's kind of where there's lots of different factors in it, because I think actually we had a pretty good last couple of years. We've been growing, but we've kind of been growing within the realms where we want to grow and how far we push things. We are still making nearly everything by hand. We have we have 2 people who sew for us and make for us, but they're in London. We, pay properly. We're really trying to make sure that every time we grow something and move something on, it's the quality of the things we make stay in a certain place.
Which isn't easy.
It is not easy, and it's not cheap. It's just not cheap.
Yeah.
But I think people I have some kind of hope that as we understand more about the waste involved in mass production, and as the more and more people understand slow fashion, the more that people will say, actually, you know what, I'll buy from a company that makes in the UK, that uses fabrics that are from the UK, that is really caring and not to use fake fur, which is just a disaster, or, you know, synthetic fabrics. And I hope that those things will make people think, because I think the word couture just scares people because they just see like massive pound signs or dollar signs or whatever. And bespoke the same way. I don't think people feel confident to think something's being made for them sometimes. But, you know, everything, there's a price for it, sure. But if you save up and you're going to keep something, then maybe slow fashion is about taking away the stigma of couture, of bespoke, and making it part of, you know, considered purchases, more than a kind of premium for a name, but premium for quality and care.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And as well, I think if people actually added up what they spend on fast fashion, it's probably no different from then what they could spend on something that lasts them significantly longer, and doesn't have such a harmful impact. Do you see that there are like sort of like-minded businesses are making that like initiative as well, to kind of feel like fast fashion is such a giant, but I know that we're like most new businesses that start today, I think have to try and avoid that, or have like a sustainable like aspect. Do you find that there are like-minded businesses in London who are like fighting for that same cause as you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, we just applied for New Gen last year, which didn't get, but in doing so, you know, we were able to speak about how, you know, our ethics, how sustainable we are trying to be. And one of the feedback we got is that we're not as vocal about it. And we started noticing other companies in sort of the same level that are really vocal about it, and realizing that maybe we should be a bit more, you know, speak about it more, because it's important. It's really important to us.
It's also that getting that kind of, it takes a little while to figure it out. I think even we've had to like do this in terms of like costings and how you want to grow, because it's always that thing of you're kind of fed to believe you want to grow and grow and grow and grow, like wholesale, keep going. And then you have to kind of look at where you're pushing and what this means. Because if growing means to do wholesale, that you're having a factory in Bulgaria where no one's checking on how the people are being, you know, made to work, you're suddenly unintentionally sometimes put in a position where you're kind of chasing the wrong tail. The wrong tail.
Yeah, we get you. Yeah.
I think I've been out my dog this morning. I've misunderstood something here. But that's quite difficult. But you see on Instagram plenty of people who are making 3 of something or 10 of something, or they're selling something and it'll be, you know, sent when it's made. And I think people are beginning to understand that that's how stuff gets made. And you know what? It's so weird how often you see things that are handmade. Well, I mean, of course, even if you're using a sewing machine, there's only humans
there's someone operating that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve thing. I was like, everything is handmade. Like everything is handmade.
I know, that's a big bugbear of mine. Especially like I saw like a bakery said like everything is handmade, and I was like, well, yeah, there is, like, who else is making the cupcakes? I think it's such a throw around word. Yeah.
I think what you have as an advantage is because I think like the style of hats that you make, or at least from my like vantage point, it's like, it's for people who have like a particular look or are particularly confident in what they like to wear. They know that that's something that style interests them. I think in fast fashion, a lot of people buy a lot of fast fashion because they don't particularly know their own sense of style. They want to flip between styles by season, you know, going on a holiday and I want a completely different look. And I think probably your clientele, probably, you know, that's the aesthetic they like, and that they know if they buy something, they're going to want to keep it and they're going to wear it in 3 years' time. That's not an issue for them. So I think, probably you actually saying, you know, everything we make is handmade, it is carefully considered, is something that just makes sense for, I don't know, people I'd expect to be buying your hats anyway.
We hope so. I mean, we started doing care cards because we want people to understand if you look after something and if you keep it well, and it's kind of trying to enforce that thing of keep this, it'll look after itself if you give it a little helping hand, and you know.
Yeah, definitely. And so how do you find like the impact of owning sort of a company in the fashion industry? I know you touched on like the responsibility of growing it and things like that, but fashion could be quite like a ruthless industry. Like, how do you keep yourself like excited and motivated?
The millinery industry is its own little subside, and you can stay in it or you can stay out of it. A lot of milliners stay very much out of it. There's a very big divide between millinery and fashion.
It's weird. It's like an accessory,
like in a good way.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they don't. A lot like ignoring the trends, ignoring colors, like what people want to wear certain seasons. Milliners just don't even pay attention to it. Generally, Hood was created in that we're like, well, what's going on? Like millinery's over here, fashion's over here. Occasionally, milliners will make hats for designers. But then their own collections will just be some crazy sort of fantasy, not based on anything that's happening right now. So Hood was to bring it together. We're like, we look at the trends, we look at what people are wearing, what wardrobes people are buying, because your hat should go with what, you know, you want to wear that season, as well as, you know, timeless. So yeah, it's very much we're still skirting the edges of the fashion industry, but we don't really get to play with the big boys. So
we would rather be around the edge of the fashion industry in the middle of the millinery one, because it doesn't make sense. There are guilds, there are all kinds of things, and you know, millinery companies are all kind of banding together trying to make, you know, millinery relevant, and what they miss out on is make collections that are relevant. Like, it's really bizarre. There's all this thing about how can we support the millinery, you know, what can we do, what guild can we set up, what fundraiser can we set up? Just make relevant collections. Yeah. And it's fine. I mean, when we do work with designers, it's hard because we don't have a big team, and it's hard to carry on making our orders, our next collection, while working with a designer. I mean, I think we quite often distance ourselves from the millinery industry, but to be fair, they quite often distance themselves from us.
Love it.
One little like bugbear also that I have and I've spoken with Scarlett about this a lot, and I like hats. I love hats, but hats never come in multiple sizes. And
she's a big-headed lady.
You have a big head. I have a big head. You need it to fit. And like, if you just go out on like the high street or whatever, and you want to get like a beret, or you want to get I don't know, any kind of more structured sort of hat, they never fit. And that's like another thing. Like, I think that I would have bought a lot more hats if what was available to me came in a bit like, I know that I'd buy it and it would fit my head and suit my face shape, and it just wasn't like this generic extra small size, because everyone has, you know, straight hair and a small head. So yeah.
Well, I have an enormous head. It's 60 centimeters, and it's why like some of the block hats that we do come in sizes. So you can kind of choose between 55 and 60 centimeters. We were talking about this actually with berets and stuff, about if they're pure felts, if they're wool felts, you can stretch them quite easily. You just, but you're right. I mean, there's a very small kind of narrow window in which a lot of hats are made, and I don't think it's not changed. It's not grown with. It doesn't reflect the world at all. It's stuck somewhere, and it's stuck somewhere really weird. But in terms of sizing, I think with the block hats, we always offer sizes, but I think maybe with other hats, we will offer different sizes in future. I think we do small, medium, large with some of the ones which aren't specific head fittings, but it probably, it's been useful that I have a 60 centimeter head, because it's a standard man size, and it means that...
oh, well, part of the crew, probably.
My neck can just about hold it up.
Amazing. Love that. And did you see with so like headbands and everything like that became like a really big accessory for people to start like actually decorating their heads and considering about like the neck up? Did you find that generated more interest with you guys as well, where people started thinking more about accessorizing what they put on their head and things like that?
I didn't notice any uptake on that. I noticed other milliners taking on that style really quite quickly and making padded headbands. Again, like they're always following, like just behind the trends. I've seen the magazine. Now I will make this style and make it available.
Celine does it, then it's like a follow-on. It's always a follow-on.
Yeah.
So we didn't do any of that. We tried it. We stay away from those because once it's out, there's always, every 5 years there's a new head decoration trend. And that was this one. I remember 10, 15 years ago, it was the Prada turban. Like there's just always something that cycles around that's really,
had those like barrettes. I mean, it's not a hat, but barrettes were big when we had the padded headbands as well.
Yeah. When in the 90s, when I was a teen, they were it always cycles.
Yeah.
It's, we try it. If we see something that trending, we won't do it. And I feel like we keep our the classic sort of customer as the person that wants to stand out, not the person that wants to follow the trend. They want to be different. They want to stand out and look like.
Also, to be fair, I mean, if I see Kate Middleton wear something, I'm kind of not sure. We want to go there.
Love that.
Yeah, especially with the padded headbands, there was this weird type that was wearing it that was not our customer base.
Yeah.
There's very much not those girls.
Who would you describe as your customer base then?
Gabby.
I think I completely screwed up our new gen interview by calling them grown-up goths, but I still kind of think there's a truth to it. They are grown-ups. They are grown-ups. Yeah. And I think that's why they make, we do have some young clients, but they're not cheap hats. So you need a job. And I think they're people who do want to stand out, and the people who enjoyed dressing up through their 20s and now kind of want stylish things they can wear. So I think, I know.
But, like the weirdos, the grown-up girls, the straight, we have some of the vintage community as well. And I think it's very much boys and girls, men and women, that want to be different, that want to stand out, that don't want to blend in and fit in, but stand out, Did that? I'm just repeating the same words.
I think the thing is they want to stand out, but they don't want to
in the right way.
And I think there's that they want to be talked to confident and stand out. They don't want people to avoid them confident, stand out. It's that weird.
They don't want to be like the odd person in the corner, but you kind of want to be like, that's an interesting how. That's a nice, like, that's, yeah.
And honestly, if you want people to speak to you, wear a hat.
Yeah.
People will speak to you.
I'm an introvert.
I am single, and I'm going to try it.
I don't enjoy speaking to people. I get really nervous in social situations. I'm not very outgoing, but if you put on an interesting hat, if you have to go to a party and just stand there with a drink in your hand, people will come up to you and talk to you. So you don't have to do any of the work. You've done the work by putting something on your head. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Revolutionized the way
That's the only advice I'd give to someone who's single, because the rest of it's terrible. I know it's the worst dating advice ever. Call them, ring them till it's dead.
That's amazing.
So as like with your label, and you said that you went for funding with New Gen, do you quite often approach kind of funding or competitions or things like that? And what made you want to go for New Gen?
I think
we've never asked for funding before.
No, and we've never had any. We've had no private money. We set this up with I think £900 initially is how we set up Hood. Is all we put in. We've had no money coming to us that we haven't earned. And we applied for New Gen because I think during COVID, although we'd grown, we realized that we could grow more, but we needed help. We needed help to be.
It was more than anything. It's not the money. We're fine with that. It's the PR machine, the elusive PR machine. Yeah.
And we just can't afford. Like Hood, can pay us, but it doesn't have the money to pay a PR company to go and deal with stuff. And New Gen comes with that. The problem is with a lot of funding for millinery, there are particular people who are part of who gets the funding, who are there at New Gen, who are there at other British Fashion Council, decision-making groups, and I don't think it helps us. And I think actually we didn't get New Gen for the right reasons. When I look at what they have done with some of their funding, I understand the decisions they made. And I think it's the first time that you can actually say they've gone for a diverse kind of range of people, designers, products. And I get it. So in that way, it didn't hurt so much. But I find it very difficult to think of going for funding because there are decision-making people who are at the top, and they're at the top all the time.
Yeah, we're going to be offering sunglasses starting this spring.
Amazing. Yep. Oh, cool. Yeah. So how have you, sorry, have you kind of brought somebody on to help you with the design of that? Or is that something you guys already knew about? Because that's obviously like a very different set of skills and manufacturing. And
exactly. Mm-hmm. I've been doing sunglasses for the last 5 years. There you go. I've been designing independently, just very small business, running it through myself, and it's done really well. And I want to start wholesaling, so we're going to start. I'm going to push it through Hood, and that's going to be our first foray out of hats. Mm-hmm. And we kind of want to push a bit further though, because I think we're slowly discovering, and especially looking at all other, historically other millinery businesses, there's no money in millinery. There really isn't. And we, we would like to retire one day.
The thing is, one of the things is, I think though, we want to kind of carry on doing it, but Adele has been doing sunglasses for 5 years. I don't know how many designs you've got now. 12, 10?
About 10, probably.
And I think one of the things we're really excited about for having the sunglasses come through Hood. These are, very much, they've done great for Adele, so they're going to help Hood. But we want to make sure that anything that we take on and anything we push ourselves to do next, we know exactly what we're doing. Because the great thing about having Hood is, like, we know hats. You can ask me a question about when you turn from you're wearing your summer hat to your winter hat, and I can tell you. We know about the names of hats. And it's this, we want it to be that, by having Adele doing the sunglasses, that we know stuff. She is, it's taken a while with all the kind of, there's so much to learn whenever you take on something, that when we go with something, we want to know that we know it, and we really know it. And like picking the kind of lenses that go with the frames and things like that, all the decisions that Adele makes are, she's a fine tuner. So it's really nice to be handing over something. She's kind of bringing something that is fine tuned. Yeah. But I think Hood can grow like that quite safely, and without any compromises.
I think we could push into more accessories quite easily in the next few years. We'll be looking at Scarlett. I heard you design handbags.
Yeah.
We've been talking about bags, so we haven't got
hire her. Yeah.
we still can't. We have talked about this quite a bit, because there's still not the perfect one.
No,
I mean,
no,
something between my Snoopy backpack and my Liberty bag. That there's something.
Yeah, but I think that level of care that you said there, of that you want to make sure that it, because that also then means that you're giving your customers the best possible experience when they shop with you. I think there aren't often enough people who take the time to get themselves there. I think that's an amazingly considered thing to do, and also ensures that, like you said, your customers sort of, they're people who are spending good money on a hat or on sunglasses, and it just means that they'll also come back. And I don't know, I think this is often the problem in the cycle of the fashion industry as like a umbrella thing, is that there isn't that like level of respect also from the people who are making or providing the goods. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think with can't wait to see the sunglasses.
Yeah, no, I am excited.
Miranda is an eyewear lady. So.
I am. I was telling Adele, like, I love sunglasses, to be honest. And it's kind of, for me, something that I like, a bold shape. Like, it's got, the sunglasses have got to like add to your face, isn't it? In the same way that you treat hats. And there's a lot of sunglasses out there, but there's a lot of people who also are looking for unusual combinations. Like when you talk about the lenses and the shape and the colors and things, like, you know, you can go into Zara and there's loads of sunglasses, but it's not necessarily different or interesting or so
or everyone else has them.
Yeah, exactly.
Every design I do sunglasses is definitely impactful in some way. You wouldn't just like walk past it without going, whoa, what's this, what's happening here. They're all pretty they're for the special folk.
Special. Okay, me. No.
That would be me.
There is this whole like cult of sunglasses. There are people that are obsessed with them, and collectors, and it's the same with hats. It's a very niche, a niche world that once you get into, you find out all these like, amazing people are just like obsessed. And I love obsession. I just love when people like pick one thing and just know everything about it and all the designers, and I love it.
Yeah. What other categories would you like? So is handbags something that you would also move into?
Potentially. We have talked about it. It's a bit scary because it is oversaturated, and that's where everyone starts. And it's kind of like, I'm not sure. I really want to do belts. Ooh. That's my next going, is trying to find a manufacturer to help us make some belts. Because who makes belts? Who does belts? It's always an afterthought. It's always an afterthought. It should be like, for me, I could put on a plain black dress, an amazing belt, an amazing hat, an amazing pair of sunglasses. Like,
you
wear the same dress every day and just change like those 3 items.
Yeah,
that's so true. Belts is always like the thing of like, we do bags, so I guess we should do belts because we have some leather, like, or whatever it is.
Yeah, always such an afterthought. And I think it could be so much more, because I've been, for the last 5 years too, just like getting obsessed with buying vintage belts, and they're so incredible. Like throughout the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, there were some amazing designs out there. And then all of a sudden, like in the 90s, it just stopped. But the skinny belt got popular, and no one's cared ever since.
I think
we wore like 5 of them instead.
That's right. Oh, the hip belts from the 90s too. That's horrible. Like Christina Aguilera hip belts now.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is working with Kate, who does the metal pieces. She does like the Hecate and stuff.
Yeah.
It's knowing that we've kind of getting together people who work with different materials really well, so you can kind of go back and ask, can you cast this? Can you make this? And I think there's that thing of doing things slowly and figuring out means that if we do something, we'll know what we want, and it'll be. I have a thing about collecting things like this, and this will be on a belt one day, I'm sure. I can't figure out, like, I'm like my mum. You want to see it, everyone?
Yeah, that's incredible.
There's stuff like this where I feel like there's lots of stuff that we could grow into, and I just think we're going to take our time growing. And like you say, show the respect for people who are buying, that they're investing in stuff that they can, and making sure that we use materials and stuff that feel right for it.
What I really want is 60 years from now, some girl is going to be researching designs and like discover our brand and become obsessed with it and try to collect every piece. That's my goal. Like, as I find brands from the 60s and just get a completely just like Google search, like, I need to have everything that they've ever made. Like, you know,
just to say 60 years from now, I'll be sitting here with my letter from Kate Middleton telling them about us. So don't worry.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. One thing I could see her doing, and it's something that I've always wanted to collect, and I haven't actually delved into it properly yet, and it's brooches. And I love an old vintage brooch. I remember I think it was like one Mother's Day or something, and I bought my mum this like spider, and it had like this turquoise stone in it. It was like a beetle or a spider. And from then I was just like, there is so many, if you go to like older pawn shops and things like that, and you find all these amazing brooches which add like interest to blazers and outfits. And yeah, if you make them, I'll buy them.
I have a very big collection. The thing with brooches is that you can find such beautiful vintage ones. Look at this, the little devil that sits on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
There's so many beautiful vintage pieces out there. I don't know that there's a gap in the market for it.
Yeah.
I did a lucite brooch a few years ago that it did pretty well, but I guess, people do buy them, don't they? Maybe we should. You
still have so much excitement for what you guys do. Do you think that's because it's your own brand? And so, like, do you think you'd still be this excited if you were working for someone else?
Oh,
no. It's the reason I left the last designer I was working for. Because when you're making someone else's designs and you're not passionate about it, it's a real killer.
It's too much hard work to do for someone else. Like, that's the only thing
it's so true. You don't get much out of it. Come later,
like someone can't, hasn't received something and you need to look into it. It's can you do this with this? It's kind of the being on and being responsive. And when you get an email about a collaboration, or when you've got to make 10 hats in 5 days, and all of those things would just seem awful if you didn't know that you were kind of growing your kid up or something.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Yeah, that was a good question, actually. So kind of my final question is, as you said, you've wanted to introduce more categories into Hood. Do you have any other things that are kind of coming up, or that you'll that we'll see from Hood in the near future?
Well, we've just done a collaboration with our friend and studio mate, Nicia Hairstyling, and we've just decided to sort of take a break from collaborations for a while because they really take a lot of energy and is kind of taken away from our own collection. But I mean, we're working on spring, summer right now. Yep. We have a super secret like collaboration coming up next fall that we are not allowed to talk about next summer, that we're not allowed to talk about. So I will not mention it. But it's going to be good.
Watch this space.
But other than that, I mean, I think just getting, moving forward, we're moving studio. So we're concentrating on trying to get a space together that's a bit more friendly, that we can have people come and try on hats, or we can, be more visible and work on how to show our hats by maybe making videos of how to put them on, how to try them on, how to, make them fit better, little tricks that we know. Because especially like you were saying, you had a bigger head. You can buy any hat and you can stretch it. You need the right tools, but
sometimes there's just steam and hands and just knowing stuff. And I think the other thing,
pedal and like a bowl, a kitchen bowl, that's the right size. Whack it on there, steam it up and whack it on there.
This is useful information for me.
Find a salad bowl or a cereal bowl that's the same,
Okay.
diameter is your circumference of your head. And fill the hat full of steam, like get it really nice and steamy.
Okay.
So turn your kettle on and keep it on. You might break your kettle, but it'll be worth it. I've broken a few kettles. Just don't do it all the time. Get it really nice and steamy on there, and just force it down on that bowl. Let it dry. And then once you take it off, it's the size of your head.
Does it have to be completely wool hat for this to work?
Not necessarily, but you'd have to be careful if there's stitching around, that you may pop the stitching if you're going a bit further out. But
maybe you should come and bring your hat to the studio.
Yeah, or just in London.
I feel like this is a point where we could say, let us help you. As opposed to you run around in your kitchen this afternoon with some bowls.
There are special hat stretcher tools, which we have very much. Like if you have a pair of shoes that are too tight, you can take them to a cobbler's and have them break it up half a size. We have those tools to do that. There are little tricks. I wouldn't go up more than a centimeter at home. What do you think, Gabby? Like you can do a little bit. You can't go crazy because you will change the shape of the brim if it's too big.
Yeah. Also, just come see us.
I love learning this.
I mean, I'm saying this to you. People listening to this podcast, don't come see us. I know how to make that bigger. I'm busy, bro.
I would do it. Like, don't try this at home, but I would.
Yeah, that's the advice. Yeah.
And do you guys have a favorite style that you have done recently? I mean, there's so many different styles on your website. I'm a big fascinator, or the mesh, in another life, that would be me, just sat there.
Make it this life.
I was going to say, what is this life?
I feel like people just don't dress up, I always feel like I'm often the most dressed up person if I go out with my friends. So I think I need new friends.
Make an evening with your friends where you
get dressed up more, Miranda.
I'll get a couple girlfriends together and I'm like, we're gonna put on gowns and go crazy tonight. And if we're the only people in the pub dressed like that, at least
Yeah, I have no care.
Let's dress people there.
Other people, yeah.
It's fun. British people, you all love a fancy dress party. You like dressing
It's true.
I love fancy dress.
God, loves a fancy dress.
I know. It's a weird thing though. Everyone feels comfortable dressing as SpongeBob.
Yeah.
But if you ask them to fancy, they're like, whoa. That's kind of.
But to answer your question, I think Gabby and I would both agree that this winter is all about the bonnet.
Oh.
We have a few different styles of bonnets.
Yeah.
We have Thomason, which I'm making a ton of this weekend to fulfill some orders. Yeah, we have a new quilted bonnet that's really sweet. We have a knit. Dagmar is sort of a knit bonnet.
It's more like a balaclava.
Yeah.
No, Dagmar is.
Oh, not Dagmar. Sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like balaclavas are in. Mask.
Yeah, Greta. We have Greta, which is a balaclava with really soft hand knit merino wool with little horn buttons at the neck. It's so beautiful. I need
that with a mask and Adele sunglasses, and you are not only confident, no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
You commit crimes.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Are we going to do a quick fire? When we have guests, we like to do a quick fire round of questions. No one ever answers these quickly, in honesty. But yeah, I think we haven't done this in a while, I don't think.
Okay. Let me start. What, for both of you, what's the piece that you wear most from your collection?
Ninny, the one with the
Wow.
Yeah, I wear my heke a lot. But I've lately Ninny, the headscarf with
with the earrings.
The earrings.
Great.
Okay. Are you more a spring, summer, or an autumn, winter kind of gal?
Autumn, winter.
Autumn, winter.
If you could only wear one hat or head accessory for the rest of your life, what would it be? Yeah.
Oh, you're just a goddess. All of a sudden, people worship.
Yeah,
it's true. Actually,
all year round, I'm worried. I'm worried about my temperature. I'm very worried about my temperature. I think it might be head cake because then I don't have to worry about being hot. Yeah, I'm worried about being hot in the summer, cold, wearing a straw hat and it's snowing. It's too risky. A head cake, yeah, it wins. It wins.
Okay.
Yeah. You're always out in a veil, though. I would say a veil for you.
Oh yeah, maybe like a starry veil. Because then when you've like got a sty and you're hungover, you look like
a chic pirate.
West Country too.
Okay, if taking hats out of the equation, if you could only spend like a lot of money on a particular accessory in your outfit, which accessory would it be? Like, is it shoes? Is it gloves? Is it scarves? Is it jewelry? But you can't say hats.
Rings and Snoopy. It's not really an accessory, but things I like spending money on. Rings and Snoopy.
Okay.
Yeah. Lately for me, it's been mid-century necklaces, like big statement Maltese crosses, a lot of those. Yeah. And belts.
And if you had to give someone a point of reference for where to maybe start like their hat journey, I know you've mentioned the 1940s. Is that where you would recommend people to start their hat journey?
It was the peak. I mean, the highest. I think everyone can agree on that, right? It was. Yeah.
Look at Ingrid Bergman. Look at the 1940s. Look at how confident, and in just any movie, 1940s, any movie, probably going through to the 50s still, but those women looked awesome, and they.
Hair to everything was perfect. I mean, it was just,
and it wasn't about being feminine. That's the thing, though. I think it's really important to not think about that as like a feminine thing or a woman. It was just care. It was caring the things they were made. It was caring how they wore them. And that's what was awesome.
And I think with even the men, it's like the level of grooming, and everyone had everything pressed with a crease, and it was like everything matched, and there was
and the decorum of like using
every crease to fall out during the day. Just how I live.
Yeah, exactly.
And if who at the moment is a brand or a label or a designer that you are loving right now?
Oh. Ooh. I should know the answer to this, but there's a lot of like really little London brands that I'm enjoying watching grow. I don't necessarily wear their stuff or, promote it, but like I'm really enjoying watching Ashley Williams grow. And seeing her stuff around. I think it's quite cute and cool and interesting. And I mean, Gabby is like
don't worry, it's a hard question.
I really like seeing these little brands more than the big ones and the ones that are getting funding and pushed, and you're like, oh well, they're like primed on the road, like I can see what's going on with them. I like watching these little ones that are doing it small, and I can see them doing it small, and maybe they're working with a little factory, but they're doing all their PR themselves. They're reposting client pictures, and I really enjoy that because that's how we've done it. We're with Instagram, we are allowed to do this now. I had my own clothing line in the 90s, and it went nowhere because I wasn't throwing money at PR.
Yeah.
I'm now discovering if Instagram had, been around then, maybe it'd have had a different story. But it's fun to watch this growth because you can see it. Like you're watching them like through a little glass peephole now, which was never available before.
Yeah. I'm really still thinking like what I'm loving.
I'm trying to give you time to.
I know you gave me time. I'm.
You don't have to.
No worries. It's fine. No worries. Yeah. One little question I will say, or will ask, is how has Instagram been for you and your label? Because very often it's like, we have social media, it's so easy, but it's so saturated at the same time. And there is an expectation, or to some extent you have to throw money at it. Okay, it's not like a PR team, but you have to in the form of ads throw money at Instagram and Facebook and all of that, and Google ads and whatnot. How has it been for you? Because I think for a lot of other brands, it's a bit of a minefield.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. We keep talking about it.
I think we've done about 2 adverts in
we've never even done one on Instagram. I don't think we've done.
Oh no, we've done a sponsored post. That's as far as we've gone, isn't it?
Yeah. We just we're just doing it organically. You know, I do the social media, most of it. Gabby will edit me and hem me in. And I'm all right at it. I'm okay at social media, so it's just been fine. We're deciding in the next year if we need to bring someone else in to help be more attentive, but it's just such an amazing tool. And I lived in a time before it, and this is just, it's magical. And we haven't really had many issues. I mean, we struggle to keep up with it as is, so it's not like we need more right now. It's fine.
The only thing I would say is I don't think Adele realizes how much time she actually gives to it, because the reason I'm probably not involved really on Instagram is, as well as the whole kind of time you have to give to look of it, just the time you have to pay attention to other people. Yeah. That whole kind of thing. It's just, I'm not very good at being on my phone for a long time in the same way I get bored or I say rude things. And Adele was very good at responding to people kind of, and
because I'm
things and
checking
in with other people. Well, no, I think it actually takes a fair amount of time to be aware of, you know, it's how we've made connections with Nicia. It's how we've made connections with Beauty Spot. That was very good at connecting with people, looking out for what's coming up. And
it's like playing any game. It's a game. And the more you play at it, the more you're on it, playing this game, the better you're going to get at it. And I see people that are on it more than I am that are better at it, because they're just, you know, I don't know anyone that does good at Instagram that isn't on it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're either on it or you're not. And now they've built the algorithm to promote that usage.
And apparently, like watching dog videos on it isn't that helpful.
No, I'm sure. Amazing. Have you got anything else to ask me?
Nothing else from me, to be honest.
Thank you so much for giving us your time this morning. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys. And also, I'm definitely about to research millinery. So. Yeah.
Well, no, we really appreciate it. And, you know, it'd be nice to meet you in real human life.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Thanks for listening, guys. That was our interview with Hood London. We hope that you liked it. What is our poll this week?
Our poll. I reckon we could ask if people wear hats or like are interested in millinery, and if they don't, like why that is, maybe. Because I think in our conversation we discussed kind of like people often maybe aren't educated on hats, or kind of like, for me, I guess I often don't know how to sort of maybe style it, or maybe it's a confidence thing because not many people wear hats. Like, I don't know.
And I think also just a lot of people if they do wear hats, then it's a winter hat, it's a bobble hat.
I wear a woolly hat, for purpose. Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. You know, it serves a purpose. I mean, you know, so it's good. But for those who just wear them for decorative purposes, that's where the real style comes in.
That's what we want. We want to hear from you guys.
Well, as always, guys, thank you for listening to Style Over Substance. I've been Mim.
And I've been Scarlett.
Ciao, guys.
Bye-bye.